thing. So I gotta steal your life the old-fashioned way, which means I'm just pointing at things in my hand. So I'll try to make it as exciting as I can. So what you're gonna do with your phone and video at some point in your college career is take a picture of what's in this box without everything falling out. But this is half of your quiz next week. So these. Yes, that's right. You have an exam. This will be on your exam. It won't be half your exam.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start. What is this? What's happening here?
Fertilization.
Fertilization. So this is a zygote. What's happening here?
Cleavage.
Cleavage! All right. What is this, say ye? Morula, blackberry, raspberry. Okay, so now I have a hollow tennis ball. So this must be blastula or blastocyst. If you're human, it's a cyst. So then you're supposed to name some stuff. What do you call the cells on the outside of a blastocyst?
Trophoblast.
Well, that'd be when it's eating, before it becomes trophoblast. Inner cell would be the yellow on the inside. Blastomeres. Remember blast build, meres like polymers, monomer?
Wait, I'm sorry, what was the blastomere?
Outside.
The outside.
The cells on the outside of a blastocyst are blastomeres. Then you have the yellow, which is the inner cell mass, or ICM on a test you can put. Right? So then what is it doing here? What are those feet doing?
Eating.
They're eating. So what do you call it when I'm eating into mom? Now say trophoblast. That's my trophoblastic stage. I'm chewing into mom.
So that's a stage and a region?
It's a thing, kind of stagey. It's implantation stage, but trophoblast is what's eating mom. That will eventually become the placenta. Yeah.
But on this diagram, trophoblast is located on the opposing side of where the inner cell mass
Yeah,
is.
but usually,
You're saying, it seems like it makes more sense for it to be.
yeah, it's the bottom where you're going to burrow in.
Right. Okay.
Right. So then that ends up being this. So here we have green is mom's uterus. This is you. Here you are implanted inside mom. So then you have the yellow and the red, which are colored absolutely backwards than what you think they're going to be. And the way you're going to prove that is looking at this model. The red thing, what do you think it's supposed to be? That's a yolk sac. Every yolk sac you've ever seen is yellow, but in this model for $500 it's red. That's a yolk sac. Because you are supposed to be red, but you're yellow. I didn't color this, right? It's made in Germany.
Germany?
Germany. My prisoner's from Korea, right? Okay. But let's name some stuff. So here you are. Then we have the outside part of you. What do you call the outside part where you live?
Chorion.
Chorion. So this is all the chorion. That's the little ball you're living in. So what do you call these little fingers sticking out? Chorionic villi. Those are the fingers that are growing into mom. Right? And then you have the space you're in, which would be full of fluid. So you're living inside the amnion or amniotic sac or cavity. So you're in the amnion, which is the inside hollow part. The chorion's the outside tough part. And the chorionic villi are the fingers growing into mom. Make sense? All right. So then you have some more logic. The mom part has names. The mom part where you're growing in, that's called the decidua basalis. The mom part where you're not burrowing in is the decidua capsularis. What does it mean to be a deciduous tree?
Seasonal.
You lose your leaves, so your uterus loses the baby. That's where the decidua comes from, right?
What
So
is the capsularis and which one is the...
basalis is where the fingers are. Capsularis is where there's no fingers.
So is there villi on that?
Yes.
Okay.
So the villi would be all over, but the placental side, the really thick side, is always the basalis. Yes?
What do you mean the uterus loses the baby?
Well, it's like losing leaves. The doctors name it. Baby comes out, you've lost your leaves. So it's deciduate.
Bad analogy.
Well, that's how they named it, right? Deciduous trees lose their leaves. Deciduous uteri lose their babies. That's where the logic comes from. So the decidua is mom's uterus, not the baby. It's mom's uterus in relation to the baby. So decidua basalis, decidua capsularis.
So they're basically saying that mom and baby are split.
They are split.
Because people think, oh, she lost the baby.
Well, you never had the baby, right? The baby was just living.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just, you're the host.
You're the
Yeah.
host. They're squatters, right?
Squad.
I love babies, but yeah, they're squatters. Make sense? I'll buy your baby. You know, hey. This is mom and baby. So the problem with this model is this is your umbilical cord. So in your book, they have it like this, which is perfectly fine. But this is uterus, this is baby, and this is the connection between mom and baby. So that's your placenta. So the problem is figuring out what you're staring at. So if this is umbilical cord, this part is all part of the baby's contraption, fetal placenta. If this is uterus, this is all maternal placenta. Everyone with me? So if you follow along, there's an outside brown layer here, which would be in the very outside of baby. So what was it on this model? What was the very outside called? Chorion. So that brown layer down there is the chorion. This is on the inside of the baby, where the fluid is. That would be here, which would be the amnion. On this side, though, mom's side, you have the endometrium and the myometrium right there. Then you have this connection between them, this hollow space. So if you follow my finger, this big finger-like thing is coming out of the chorion into mom. What do you call the fingers out of the chorion into mom? What are those called? That's the chorionic villus or villi. If you notice, there's then a space around it. What do you call the space between the fingers? Intervillous sinus. So these spaces are between the finger spaces. And that's where the exchange is going to occur. So you have the fingers coming up from baby, and you have the interdigitation to mom's uterus. And that's what you're seeing here. The problem in this model, like those, is the colors are backwards. If you look up here in baby's belly button, you have some red things and blue things. What are reds and blues? The problem is they color them wrong. The two little ones should be blue. Those are the arteries. The big one that's single should be red. That's a vein. Why would it be blue arteries and a red vein here? What does red and blue have to do with? Oxygen. So when you're a baby in utero, who's oxygen? Mom is. So you're blue going to mom because you don't have air. You're red coming back from mom because she just breathed for you, right? It's like a lung. So the two things going to mom should be blue. The thing coming back from mom should be red. But it's artery because it's going away from baby's heart because baby makes it. Vein going back to the heart because it's directional, not colored. Make sense? But they colored this wrong for $900. Right? So on the fetal side, the colors are backwards. The arrows are correct, but the colors are reversed. Make sense? Maybe if we spend $1,000, we get it correct. Those damn Germans. Right?
What is the yellow stuff?
I don't know. Fat? I'm not sure. Yeah, not sure. Make sense? So just remember the colors are weird on all these models. But you should be able to go through on these models and be able to tell me what the stage is, how old you are in terms of weeks, what you're doing in each step. That would be a good plan. Now on this model, make sure you can tell me, who's doing what and why. Those are really the only two models of pregnancy that will appear soon. Make sense? We got the giant baby. You can take the baby out and hold her. That's nice.
But the box
Oh, the box. The box, unfortunately, doesn't have anything that's on your list.
Okay.
So it skips between, it's basically before this box and after this, which is not on your list. Rolling your tongue is dominant, which it is. So a rolling male is a non-rolling female. All right. Tell me about their children. I need a genotype and a phenotype and percentages of each.
So, like capital X, lowercase x kind of thing?
I would pick X. Do something different.
Capital R?
R. So who's going to be the capital R?
Dominant.
How many capital R's should he have?
Could be one or two.
Could be one or two.
Aha! Let me add a word here.
So it's recessive?
Heterozygous rolling male. Now tell me which one it is. Hetero means a big and a little, right? Non-rolling female would have to be what? Two little R's, because otherwise she'd roll if R rolling dominant. Okay? To make children, what do we have to do that begins with M? Besides marriage.
Eight.
That was a joke last year. Do meiosis, right? So, what kind of sperm can heterozygous male make?
Capital R or
Well, Right. Half will be big R and half will be little r, right? By meiosis, half the genes at random. How about the girl? All of them are going to be little r's, right? Because it's half meiosis. So the children are going to be what? Let's do a Punnett square, or box, right? So a big R here, little r there. Remember that vaguely? So give me their genotypes. What's genotype mean?
Big R.
Means these, right? So 50% big R, little r, or heterozygous, 50% homozygous recessive, right? Give me their phenotypes.
50% rollers and
50% rollers and 50%
No.
non-rollers. Because phenotype's how you look. Genotypes are the letters. Or you could say half-half, 1-to-1. So if to do these problems, you have to keep track of homozygous, heterozygous, dominant, recessive, and genotype, phenotype, and all that kind of language from 112. If you can basically walk through this kind of language, there's examples in Lab 46, Wazoo. You can kind of walk through, and then all it's changing is how you're interpreting it.
Are you gonna do like 16 boxes? Or?
Yeah, we don't want you doing 16. That
Okay, so
takes
it'll just
forever.
be this little one right here.
Little one or something like this. Suppose I gave you this one, just to tell you something. You have a roller with a non-roller, and they have 4 children that have these.
So wouldn't you just fill in the box and then go
Oh,
backwards?
hold on. Let me change it. Hold on. I started thinking ahead of myself here. Do it that way. There's our 4 children. Tell me the genotypes of the parents.
75.
No, I want the parents. I coach the kids.
So wouldn't you just fill in the box and then go backwards?
You can. Or you can look at it mathematically and figure it out.
they're
I
both
don't-
hetero.
No, they're not both heterozygous.
Oh, one of them is
Big R,
or
little
like,
R,
almost like a dominant.
Okay, non-roller has to be what?
Double little r.
She's little r, otherwise she'd be a roller, right? This guy has to be a what?
Homozygous.
Heterozygous.
And how'd you know he had to be heterozygous? Look at this person,
Yeah.
right? That person has to get a little r from both parents. These people have to get a big R from one parent, therefore the heterozygous and a homozygous. Same as this, right? They'd also be able to work backwards. If we told you the kids, could you think your way back to the parents? Right? Because of, yes.
So for the first one, my impulse would have been to have on the y-axis or whatever 2 little r's. And I understand why you only have 1 little r because the
Yeah.
mom's going to contribute.
Huh? So like this? With the
Yeah,
row?
that's how I.
That's fine.
That's how I would have drawn it. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't have 50%. Then you would have
You would.
25.
No, you still have the same. They just double.
That's
Okay. Thank
They just
you.
be doubling. So that's why you can. You can always. That's perfectly right to do each one as 2s. It's just
It's
that
not to do.
when a row's duplicate, you can sort of ignore.
Okay.
How do you want us to answer like ratio, like 3-to-1 or?
Well, you can do percentages like 50-50, 25-35, whatever. You can do a ratio. In this case, the ratio would be 1-to-1 because they're even. You can do 3-to-1, whatever. You can do 50-50. You can do percentage. You can do half-half. As how you answer the percentage question is sort of irrelevant. Just as long as you give me a number, that seems reasonable. So I know how to do the ratios of percentages. Percentages are easier. If you just do it as percentage, you probably won't get screwed up by it. But Lab 46 has about 10 pages of those that you can practice. There will be guaranteed to be some genetic problems on your exam. At least one. Memory serves me from years past.
Just 1?
Well, at least one.
Just
Theory, this is all 112 again,
So is your
right?
exam still going to
Yeah.
be just 1 through 75 with a blank piece of paper?
We still have all the reproduction models and all that stuff, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
reproduction, pretty much, right?
Pretty
And
much
it's all
UA's on, so everything from peeing in a cup onwards is on